The kitchen was alive that rainy evening, its clamor a mix of sizzling pans, clattering utensils, and the murmur of busy voices. In the midst of it all, a woman in a plain apron moved with a quiet determination, her presence both unassuming and strangely magnetic. No one paid much attention to her at first, a new face among the familiar, but her steady, confident steps set her apart from the hurried cooks. There was something mysterious about the way she navigated the chaos, as if each movement carried a secret that could change everything. As the clock edged toward a late hour, the restaurant's kitchen buzzed with its usual rhythm. Chefs chopped vegetables, stirred thick sauces, and coordinated a dance of culinary perfection. Yet amid the controlled pandemonium, the unknown cook worked silently, blending into the backdrop of the busy team. Her face was half hidden beneath a modest cap, and her hands moved with an elegance that belied the rough, fast-paced environment. She never lingered to introduce herself, never paused to share a word of her own. Instead, she focused solely on the tasks at hand, adjusting the flame beneath a simmering stew, adding a pinch of salt to a delicate sauce, and ensuring every dish left the counter with impeccable care. The other cooks exchanged glances as they caught brief, fleeting looks of her concentrated expression. There was something in her eyes, a glimmer of memories, a hint of sorrow mixed with determination, that made even the most hardened chefs wonder about the woman in the apron. She was not just another helper, she carried with her an air of purpose that transcended the mundane tasks of a kitchen. It was as if every movement was part of a larger, unspoken story, a hidden narrative woven into the fabric of that very night. Even as the clamor of the kitchen rose to a crescendo, the mysterious cook seemed to operate on a different rhythm, one that was both deliberate and deeply personal. In the brief moments between stirring a rich, bubbling sauce and dashing from one station to another, her eyes flickered with a depth that suggested a life far removed from the bright, polished world of high society. There was a weight in her gaze, a reminder that she once inhabited a realm of opulence and wealth, a realm that now seemed a world away. It was in those subtle details, the slight crease of her brow as she focused, the determined set of her jaw, and the quiet, almost imperceptible smile when a dish turned out just right, that hints of her true identity shone through. She was the secret behind the restaurant's success, yet no one could guess that she was the very owner who had built the empire from nothing. That realization was held tightly behind her carefully constructed disguise, a secret that tonight seemed poised to unravel. The atmosphere in the kitchen was charged with a sense of anticipation. Each sizzling sound, each burst of steam, and every flicker of the overhead light added to the promise that something significant was unfolding. The unknown cook moved as if she were orchestrating this intricate performance, where every ingredient and every sound was a note in a larger symphony of change. She did not talk about her past or the journey that had led her to this point, she simply worked, letting the rhythm of the kitchen speak for itself. In that moment, the restaurant became more than a place to enjoy a meal, it turned into a stage for an unfolding drama. The cook's silent performance hinted at hidden layers of hardship, resilience, and an unyielding desire to reconnect with something essential. There was a powerful undercurrent in her actions that suggested she had deliberately left behind the comfort of wealth and prestige. Instead, she chose a life where every chop of a knife and every stir of a spoon was an act of reclaiming a part of herself that had been lost in the glare of luxury. For the staff working alongside her, there was a growing, unspoken curiosity. Who was this determined woman who seemed to belong yet also stand apart? As they worked side by side, the mystery of her identity became a silent question hanging in the air, a question that promised revelations in the moments to come. The kitchen, usually a realm of straightforward labor and routine, was now alive with the potential for something far greater, a story of transformation and hidden truths waiting to be revealed. And so, as the night deepened and the rain tapped a steady rhythm against the windows, the first chapter of an extraordinary journey was quietly being written behind the hectic pace of the restaurant's kitchen. Every clink of a pan and every whisper of the stove seemed to echo with the promise of change, setting the stage for events that would soon shock everyone involved. In the quieter moments between shifts, the woman's thoughts often drifted back to a past that was as different from the present as night is from day. Long before she became known for her uncanny skills in the kitchen, she had walked a very different path, a journey marked by hardship, determination, and a burning desire to find something real. Born into a modest life, she had learned early on that wealth and comfort were not guarantees of happiness. As a child, every day was a lesson in resilience. There were times when even the smallest meal was a treasure, and every act of kindness from a neighbor or a friend carried immeasurable weight. The memory of those early days lingered in her mind like an old song. She remembered watching the sunrise from a tiny window in a cramped apartment, feeling the chill of winter and the warmth of community all at once. The struggles of her youth were not just about surviving, they were about learning the value of every small blessing. It was during those formative years that she discovered the beauty in simplicity and the strength in perseverance. Even as a young adult, she clung to those lessons, determined that she would never lose sight of where she came from, no matter how far she might climb. Her rise to success was neither quick nor easy. In a world that celebrated flashy achievements and lavish lifestyles, she had to work harder than most to prove herself. Every setback, every rejection, forged within her a sense of purpose that money alone could never buy. The journey to affluence came with its own set of challenges, a constant push to outdo competitors, to make decisions in boardrooms filled with cold calculations, and to navigate a social scene where genuine connection was rare. Despite the many accolades and the fortune she had built over the years, there was a growing emptiness that she could not ignore. That emptiness, that quiet hollowness, was the reason she chose to step away from the glittering world of high finance, if only for a while. Deep in her heart, she longed for the warmth and honesty of a life where each day was measured by the simple joys of sharing a meal or lending a helping hand. The restaurant, with its bustling kitchen and genuine camaraderie among its staff, was a far cry from the polished, impersonal corridors of her corporate world. Here, every moment was raw, every effort was real, and every interaction carried the potential for heartfelt connection. It was not a decision made on a whim. The thought of donning an apron and working alongside those who had little knowledge of her true status was both an act of rebellion and a search for redemption. The woman knew that by hiding behind the guise of a humble cook, she would be forced to confront the parts of herself that had long been buried under the weight of wealth and expectations. She wanted to remember what it felt like to struggle, to overcome, and ultimately, to win in the simplest ways possible. Each slice of vegetables, every stir of a sauce, was a reminder of a time when every effort counted, when every achievement felt personal and profound. In the quiet corners of the restaurant's busy kitchen, as she scrubbed a counter or measured out spices, she recalled the voices of those who had shaped her early life. The wisdom of a parent, the shared laughter with a close friend, and even the hardships that had taught her to be resilient, all of these memories whispered to her, urging her to hold on to the values that had once defined her. She believed that true success was not about the size of one's bank account or the number of accolades one collected, but about the ability to remain grounded, to stay connected to one's roots, and to treat every moment as an opportunity for genuine human connection. Yet, even as she embraced this simpler life, the challenges of her past and the burdens of her new identity began to intertwine. There was a quiet tension, a constant reminder that the person she once was could not be entirely forgotten. The bustling kitchen was filled with moments that stirred both hope and anxiety. With every passing hour, the woman felt the weight of her secret and the possibility that it might one day be uncovered. But for now, the anonymity was a small price to pay for the deeper understanding of life she was beginning to uncover. In that modest, everyday setting, the woman's hidden past was never far from her thoughts. It was woven into every action, every decision made in the heart of the restaurant. The lessons of struggle, the taste of simple meals, and the memory of shared smiles had all contributed to her identity. And as she moved through the day, working with the same care as she did in her youth, she slowly began to mend the divide between her polished present and her heartfelt past. This journey, filled with both painful memories and moments of unexpected joy, was teaching her that the essence of life was not found in grandeur, but in authenticity. And even though the road ahead promised more challenges, every moment spent in the busy, honest environment of the kitchen reaffirmed her belief that the true measure of a person's worth was in the strength of their character and the warmth of their connections. The restaurant stood at the heart of the neighborhood, a beacon of warmth and comfort that had welcomed generations of locals. Its brick facade, adorned with faded yet proud lettering and soft, inviting lights, told a story of a time when every meal was made with care and every visitor was a friend. Inside, the familiar sounds of laughter, quiet chatter, and the clinking of silverware mixed with the gentle strains of music, creating an atmosphere that felt both nostalgic and full of hope. Every corner of the establishment breathed a story of its own. The walls were decorated with old photographs and memorabilia, snapshots of community gatherings, and handwritten notes of thanks from loyal customers. The restaurant had been founded decades ago by someone who believed in the magic of simple ingredients and the power of a shared meal. Over the years, it had grown into a place where everyone, from families celebrating special occasions to solitary patrons seeking a little comfort, found solace in its embrace. The wooden chairs, though worn from years of use, still offered a sense of reliability and warmth, inviting guests to sit, relax, and become part of the ongoing story. In the busy kitchen, the rhythm of work was both energetic and methodical. Chefs moved with practiced precision, chopping fresh vegetables, stirring hearty stews, and plating dishes with an artistic flair. At the center of this well-oiled machine was the head chef, a person whose stern exterior belied a deep passion for cooking. Their hands, roughened by years of work, could coax extraordinary flavors from the simplest ingredients, and it was clear that every dish was a labor of love. Alongside the head chef worked a small team of dedicated cooks and assistants who shared a common goal: to keep the restaurant's tradition of excellence alive. Among the staff was a longtime employee who had grown up in the very neighborhood the restaurant served. This person knew every hidden nook and cranny of the building, every story that the faded wallpaper and creaking floors held. Their quiet strength and gentle nature had made them a favorite among both the kitchen crew and the regular customers. It was this person who often bridged the gap between the old ways and the new ideas that occasionally stirred in the bustling environment. The teamwork and unspoken camaraderie in the kitchen were palpable, even as subtle hints of discord occasionally flickered through the air. The dining area was a lively stage where everyday life unfolded. Regular patrons filled the space with a sense of familiarity and belonging. There was an older gentleman who visited every Wednesday, his eyes soft with memories of days gone by, and a kind couple who returned on their anniversary, smiling warmly at the staff who had known them for years. Each table was set with a small vase holding a single, fresh flower, a gentle nod to the tradition of care that had defined the restaurant since its inception. Here, every meal was more than just food on a plate. It was an opportunity to share stories, laugh heartily, and even find comfort during hard times. Despite the warmth that the restaurant radiated, not everything was perfectly in tune. Behind the scenes, there were moments when tension would slip into the lively rhythm of the day. Whispers of worry sometimes passed between the staff when supplies ran low or when a sudden rush of orders strained the kitchen's resources. The head chef would occasionally exchange a concerned glance with the longtime employee, both aware of the small financial discrepancies and operational challenges that had begun to surface. These quiet moments of concern were never loud, yet they hinted at a growing strain that threatened to upset the delicate balance the restaurant had long maintained. The building itself, with its weathered counters and time-worn stove, stood as a testament to the resilience and spirit of everyone who had worked there. Every scratch on the countertop and every mark on the wall held memories of meals prepared during both times of plenty and times of struggle. The restaurant was not just a business, it was a living history of the community's shared experiences, a place where hardship and joy mingled freely, and where the simple act of cooking and eating was celebrated as a sacred tradition. Outside, the gentle hum of the neighborhood added to the restaurant's charm. The sounds of passing cars, distant laughter, and the rustle of leaves in the wind created a soft backdrop that contrasted with the vibrant energy inside. It was a constant reminder that life, with all its ups and downs, continued to move forward, just as the restaurant had, through every season and every challenge. In this vibrant, bustling world, every person who stepped through the door played a part in a larger narrative of community and connection. The restaurant was a place where the past and present met, where every smile, every kind word, and every shared meal contributed to a legacy that was cherished by all. Even as small signs of discord emerged, they only served to remind everyone that life was a delicate balance of struggle and triumph, a balance that was celebrated in every corner of this enduring establishment. Every morning, as soft light crept through the narrow windows of the restaurant, the hidden cook began her day long before the doors opened to greet eager patrons. She arrived in silence, the cool early air wrapping around her as she stepped onto the creaky wooden floor of the dining area. In those quiet moments, with only the whisper of her footsteps and the soft hum of a waking neighborhood, she allowed herself to feel both the weight of her past and the promise of the day ahead. In the stillness, she would pause before entering the bustling kitchen, a place that was both familiar and strangely new each day. The restaurant's history was etched into every worn countertop and faded poster on the walls, reminding her of a simpler time. With a deep breath, she tied on her modest apron and adjusted her cap, carefully concealing the glimmer of wealth that lay behind her quiet eyes. Today, like every day, was a deliberate act of balancing who she had been with the person she wished to become. The kitchen, coming alive with the early stirrings of activity, was a symphony of sounds and smells. The low rumble of the refrigerator, the gentle clink of utensils being set in place, and the distant murmur of a radio filled the space with a comforting normalcy. The hidden cook moved to her station and began preparing ingredients with practiced precision. Each vegetable was washed, each spice measured with care, and every utensil used in a rhythm that spoke of years of personal discipline. The repetitive motions were almost meditative, allowing her to focus on the tangible, earthy tasks at hand instead of the intangible burden of her secret. As the morning progressed, other members of the kitchen staff began to trickle in. They greeted one another with friendly nods and quiet smiles, their eyes reflecting a shared pride in their craft. The head chef, a rugged yet kind person known for their relentless dedication, offered a brief nod of acknowledgement when the hidden cook passed by. In these small exchanges, she felt a connection to a community built on hard work and genuine passion, a stark contrast to the impersonal world of boardrooms and high finance that she had left behind. Yet, even as she blended into the rhythm of the team, an undercurrent of tension swirled within her heart. Throughout the day, as orders piled up and the kitchen became a hive of focused activity, she carefully juggled the demands of the physical work with the quiet battle raging inside. Each dish that left the counter was a tiny victory in her quest to reclaim a sense of authenticity. The clatter of pots and pans, the sizzling of ingredients hitting a hot surface, and even the occasional hurried laughter of her colleagues all served as reminders of a life where every moment was tangible, real, and fraught with both joy and struggle. In this environment, she found solace, a place where the art of cooking was both a simple necessity and a deep passion. Between the bursts of hectic activity, she stole moments to reflect. There were fleeting instances when a well-timed compliment from a colleague or the satisfied smile of a regular patron would fill her with a bittersweet mix of pride and longing. She recalled the days when she had not known luxury and how every meal had been a treasured achievement. Yet now, behind the disguise, the raw beauty of everyday effort was a healing balm for an old wound, the disconnection she had felt in the glittering corridors of wealth. The genuine interactions and simple shared moments in the kitchen slowly reminded her that every task, no matter how small, was part of a larger tapestry of life. The day wore on, and with it came subtle reminders of the delicate balance she was maintaining. At one point, while stirring a thick, aromatic stew, she glanced up to see a familiar face lingering near the entrance to the kitchen, a staff member whose eyes seemed to carry a hint of curiosity, as if sensing that there was more beneath the surface than met the eye. In that split second, she felt a pang of vulnerability. Had they seen the slightest glimmer of recognition in her features? She quickly refocused on her work, hiding her inner turmoil behind a mask of concentration, all the while silently promising herself to remain steadfast in her decision. Each new task, each order shouted from the dining area, forced her to adapt and move quickly. The relentless pace of the kitchen was both exhilarating and exhausting, a living reminder that life's most profound truths were often found in moments of hard work. As she moved from one station to another, lending a helping hand when a colleague stumbled or sharing a quick word of encouragement, she was constantly reminded that the kitchen was more than just a place to prepare food, it was a space where hearts were mended, where pride was nurtured, and where the simple act of working together could heal even the deepest scars. By the time the afternoon light softened into a warm glow, the day's work had woven itself into a tapestry of shared struggle and small triumphs. In the quiet moments before the next rush, the hidden cook allowed herself a brief pause, a moment to breathe, to remember, and to accept that every day in the kitchen was a step toward healing. In balancing her dual identities, she was not only preparing meals, she was preparing herself for a future where the lessons of hard work, genuine connection, and humility would lead her to a truer sense of fulfillment. Thus, amid the clamor and warmth of the bustling kitchen, she continued her journey, a journey where every slice, every stir, and every shared smile was a testament to the beauty found in living an honest, unpretentious life. A series of unexpected challenges began to stir as the busy day unfolded in the restaurant. What started as a routine morning quickly shifted when the staff discovered that several key ingredients were missing from the delivery. The head chef, known for keeping calm under pressure, noticed that fresh tomatoes and a few essential herbs were nowhere to be found. This shortage was unusual and came at the worst possible time, forcing the team to scramble and rethink their recipes. Whispers and anxious glances passed among the cooks as they tried to understand what had gone wrong. The head chef called a quick meeting right there in the kitchen, gathering everyone around the worn wooden counter. With a deep breath, the chef explained that the supplier had reported a mix-up with the shipment, and the ingredients they relied on daily were delayed indefinitely. Although this explanation brought a small measure of relief, it did little to calm the rising tension. The news spread quickly among the staff, and doubts began to take root. Some wondered if there might be more behind the error than a simple miscommunication, while others worried about how the shortage would affect the quality of the meals being served. In the midst of this uncertainty, the hidden cook felt a familiar knot tighten in her stomach. Every movement she made was a reminder of her secret, and each new problem in the kitchen made her heart race. She worked quickly, chopping and stirring with precision, yet every so often, her eyes darted to the faces of her colleagues as if seeking reassurance that no one suspected anything unusual. The pressure was immense, and the fear of being discovered grew with each passing minute. She had chosen this humble life to reconnect with her past and to find a deeper sense of purpose, but now that purpose was being challenged by events beyond her control. As the day moved forward, the shortage began to impact the flow of orders. The head chef tried to adapt by altering the recipes, reducing portions, and even substituting ingredients where possible. Despite these efforts, the quality of the dishes began to suffer, and a well-known regular patron noticed the change. With a disappointed tone, he mentioned to the head chef that the food didn't taste as it usually did. His comment, though meant to be constructive, echoed through the dining area and put additional pressure on the already stressed team. In the background, a longtime employee who had seen many ups and downs in the restaurant started to speak up. In a hushed conversation with a fellow staff member, they expressed concerns about how often such shortages were occurring. "It seems like every time we get into a rhythm, something like this happens," they whispered, their voice carrying a mix of worry and resignation. These murmurs of doubt began to create a ripple effect among the team, making everyone wonder if the restaurant was facing deeper issues than just a delayed shipment. Outside the kitchen, the atmosphere in the dining area became a little more subdued. The usual lively chatter was punctuated by a few uneasy silences as patrons exchanged glances and quiet questions. The hidden cook, while busy at her station, could feel the collective anxiety of the entire restaurant. Every clink of a pan and every shouted order seemed amplified by the tension that now filled the space. Back in the kitchen, the head chef's frustration grew. A phone call from the supplier confirmed that the mistake was indeed a mix-up and not a deliberate act. Although this news should have eased the situation, it instead highlighted how vulnerable the restaurant was to even the smallest disruptions. The head chef worked to reassign tasks, urging the team to push through the unexpected challenge. Still, the disappointment of the regular patron and the worried looks exchanged among colleagues lingered in the air, casting a shadow over the day's work. The hidden cook found herself caught between her desire to prove herself and the fear that the mounting problems might reveal more than she wanted to share. Every new dish she prepared carried the weight of her secret identity and her hopes for a simpler, more genuine life. Yet, with each order delayed and each whispered conversation overheard, her determination wavered. She struggled to maintain her focus, determined to do her job well, even as the crisis grew around her. As the day turned to late afternoon, the immediate crisis began to ease. A fresh delivery finally arrived, replenishing the missing ingredients and offering a glimmer of normalcy. The head chef quickly organized the team to catch up on the backlog of orders, and slowly, the pace in the kitchen started to return to its familiar rhythm. However, the impact of the day's challenges remained. In quiet moments between the rushes, the staff would exchange thoughtful glances, silently acknowledging that the day's events had shaken their sense of security. That day in the restaurant had been a harsh reminder that even in a place filled with passion and hard work, unexpected obstacles could test everyone's limits. For the hidden cook, it was a turning point that made her realize that her journey toward authenticity was not without its trials. The challenges had not only exposed the fragility of the day's routine but had also deepened the unspoken bond among the team. They now understood that every setback was a chance to learn, to rebuild trust, and to grow stronger together. Late in the afternoon on an otherwise ordinary day, as the warm glow of the setting sun filtered through the restaurant's windows, an unexpected event unfolded that threatened to shatter the delicate balance the hidden cook had fought so hard to maintain. The kitchen, still bustling with its customary rhythm, suddenly fell into a brief, heavy silence when a trusted, long-time employee discovered something out of place among the everyday utensils. Tucked away behind a row of well-worn cutting boards lay a small, elegant gold watch, a watch that glittered with a quiet, unmistakable luxury. In that moment, the routine world of clanging pans and sizzling food paused, replaced by a sudden, electric shock that rippled through the air. The employee's eyes widened as the weight of the discovery sank in. This was no ordinary timepiece that belonged amidst the modest tools of a hardworking kitchen. It was a relic of wealth, a silent testament to a life of comfort and opulence. The employee hesitated, holding the watch gently as if it were fragile, knowing instinctively that such an object carried secrets beyond its delicate ticking. With furrowed brows and a mixture of concern and curiosity, the employee approached the hidden cook, who was busy stirring a simmering pot. The look in the employee's eyes was one of both wonder and suspicion, a wordless question that spoke volumes. The hidden cook's heart skipped a beat as she noticed the approach. In that split second, the world around her seemed to slow down. Every sound in the kitchen, every clatter, every murmur, faded into a background hum as her mind raced. How had the watch found its way here? Had it fallen from a pocket in her hurried movements, or had it been left deliberately, as if to test her resolve? The employee's gentle, yet puzzled inquiry hung in the air. Where did this come from? The question, innocent as it might have seemed, carried with it the potential to unravel the carefully woven tapestry of her secret life. For a long, tense moment, the hidden cook searched for the right words, her mind teeming with memories of a past that she had long since left behind. The watch was not just a piece of jewelry, it was a remnant of a former life, a life filled with boardroom battles and opulent soirees, a life that felt like a distant dream compared to the simple, honest world of the kitchen. Regret mingled with fear and sorrow as she realized that the bridge between her past and her present was now threatened by this unexpected relic. Her hands trembled ever so slightly as she carefully took back the watch, instinctively knowing that any misstep in her response could lead to questions that might expose more than she was willing to share. Around them, the kitchen staff began to sense that something was amiss. The usual clatter of activity dimmed as curious eyes turned toward the unfolding scene. The head chef, who had been overseeing the final touches on the evening's preparations, paused and regarded the hidden cook with a mix of concern and quiet understanding. The atmosphere shifted from routine to one of palpable tension, as if the very air had thickened with unspoken questions and doubts. The hidden cook, now alone with her secret in the form of that elegant watch, felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Anger and frustration mingled with deep sorrow. She had chosen this life of humble labor to reconnect with the simpler, more genuine parts of her soul, a deliberate step away from the isolation and coldness of high society. Yet now, a single misplaced object threatened to undo all that she had worked so tirelessly to achieve. The realization struck her: she had been forced to confront a truth about herself that she had long tried to bury. Her past was not as easily forgotten as she had believed, and every moment of her new life was now tinged with the risk of exposure. In the midst of that turbulent internal storm, the hidden cook made a split-second decision. With quiet resolve, she addressed the employee who had discovered the watch. Her voice, though soft, carried a weight of finality. "I'm sorry for the confusion. That was mine, from a different time in my life." The words were simple, almost too simple for the gravity of the moment, yet they hung in the air like an incantation meant to dispel the growing storm of suspicion. The employee's eyes searched hers, trying to reconcile the humble cook they had come to trust with the hint of wealth that glimmered in that confession. The head chef stepped closer, and in a hushed tone, urged everyone to return to their tasks as if nothing had happened, but the damage had already been done. Whispers passed from one corner of the kitchen to another, and even some of the regular patrons in the dining area seemed to lean in just a little closer, straining to catch fragments of the conversation. The revelation, though subtle and cloaked in apology, sent ripples through the entire restaurant. The hidden cook's heart pounded with the realization that her secret might no longer be safe. More than just the fear of exposure, there was now an undeniable confrontation with her inner self, a reminder that the life she had left behind, with all its glitter and detachment, was still part of who she was. The watch, a seemingly insignificant detail, had become a symbol of the inner conflict between the luxury she once knew and the genuine, hard-earned connections she now cherished. As the evening wore on and the restaurant slowly returned to its familiar rhythm, a quiet tension lingered in every corner. The incident had forced everyone to pause and reflect, and while no one spoke openly of the watch again, its memory hovered like a question mark in the minds of those who cared. For the hidden cook, that single moment of vulnerability was a turning point, a shocking twist that not only tested her resolve, but also set the stage for deeper confrontations with her past and her future. The tension that had built up over the day reached its peak late in the evening, after the rush had died down and the kitchen was bathed in the soft glow of dimmed lights. In a quiet, private corner of the restaurant, a group of staff members gathered for a much-needed conversation. The air was heavy with unspoken questions, and the hidden cook, who had so long managed to blend into the everyday hustle, could no longer ignore the whispers of doubt. Her secret, once safely locked away behind her humble apron, now threatened to unravel before those who had come to trust her. A seasoned team member, whose quiet dedication had been a steady pillar in the kitchen for years, began the discussion. In a voice that was both gentle and resolute, they said, "We all noticed something unusual today. That watch, it doesn't belong in this kitchen. We need to understand what it means." The words, though softly spoken, cut through the silence like a blade, forcing everyone to face the reality of the hidden cook's past. The room fell into a hush, each person's eyes fixed on her, waiting for an explanation. The hidden cook's heart pounded in her chest as she felt the weight of their gaze. She took a long, measured breath and met the eyes of her colleagues, her own eyes full of vulnerability and sorrow. "I know you must have questions," she began, her voice quiet but clear. "I have tried to leave behind a life that once filled me with both pride and pain, a life of wealth, power, and endless expectations. But I also lost a part of myself along the way." Her words carried a raw honesty that resonated in the stillness of the room. "I chose to work here, to embrace the real world of hard work and genuine connection, because I needed to find out who I truly am. I wanted to understand the simple beauty of a life built on everyday struggles and small victories." Her confession caused a ripple of murmurs among the gathered staff. The head chef, a figure known not only for his strict professionalism but also for his deep care for his team, stepped forward. His face softened as he said, "We all have parts of our past we are not proud of. But here, in this family, we believe that what matters is how we learn from our mistakes and grow stronger together." His supportive tone helped ease the tension, and for a moment, the staff saw the hidden cook not as a mysterious outsider but as someone who was painfully honest about her journey. Yet, the conversation was far from over. A younger cook, eyes wide with both innocence and concern, softly asked, "Why hide this part of yourself from us? We work side by side every day. Isn't it important to be real with each other?" The simple, heartfelt question struck a chord with everyone present. The hidden cook felt a lump in her throat, remembering all the nights spent wrestling with the fear that her past might define her in the eyes of those she had grown to respect. With a trembling sigh, she continued, I was once driven by the desire for success and recognition. I thought that if I could keep my past hidden, I could create a new, better version of myself, one who was humble and connected to the roots of real life. But sometimes, the truth is too important to hide. That watch, found in the kitchen, was a reminder of who I used to be, a reminder of the luxury and the burdens that came with it. Her words, filled with regret yet brimming with hope, left the room in a contemplative silence. It was as if the hidden cook had laid her soul bare, inviting everyone to see not just the face behind the apron but the scars and triumphs that had led her there. Another longtime employee, who had seen many storms weathered by the restaurant's tight-knit team, spoke up with empathy. We are not here to judge the choices you made. We understand that life forces us all to make difficult decisions. What matters to us is that you are here now, working hard, and showing us your true heart every day. The words, simple and sincere, helped bridge the gap between the hidden cook's guarded past and the promising future that lay ahead. The head chef added, your talent and dedication have helped us all see that true strength lies in embracing our whole selves, even the parts we are ashamed of or fear to reveal. It takes courage to confront your own history, and even more to let others see it. We are here to support you, as you have supported us in your own quiet way. The atmosphere, once thick with suspicion, began to clear as the team realized that this revelation was not a betrayal but an act of vulnerability that could bring them closer together. In that small, heartfelt gathering, the hidden cook's inner turmoil found a measure of relief. The confrontation, rather than driving a wedge between her and her colleagues, slowly became a shared journey towards understanding and acceptance. Every staff member, from the youngest to the most experienced, contributed to an unspoken promise that the strength of their community would help heal the wounds of the past and build a future where every hidden truth could be transformed into a lesson of growth. In that moment, the staff of the restaurant realized that every person's struggle was a thread in the fabric of their collective story, a story woven with hardship, redemption, and the unyielding hope that the truth, once shared, could lead to a stronger, more authentic life. As the last customers left and the soft hum of the night settled over the restaurant, a calm determination filled the air. The day's events, each hardship, every struggle, and all the small, brave acts of honesty, had led to this final, decisive moment. In the gentle quiet of the empty dining room, the hidden cook gathered the staff together. There, under the warm glow of the vintage light fixtures and the watchful eyes of old photographs on the walls, she prepared to finally reveal her true self to the people who had come to know and care for her. The room was quiet but expectant. Every face reflected a mixture of curiosity and concern, their eyes urging her to speak. Standing before them, the cook took a slow, deep breath. In that instant, the weight of years spent hiding behind a humble apron seemed to lift. I have a confession to make, she began softly, her voice steady yet laced with vulnerability. I am not who you think I am. I once lived a life far removed from these busy kitchens, a life filled with wealth, high expectations, and countless luxuries. But that life, for all its glitter, left me feeling empty and disconnected. I came here not just to cook, but to rediscover the true meaning of life. Her words fell over the gathered staff like a soothing rain. Each person listened intently, absorbing the honesty and raw emotion that colored her confession. She continued, I chose to work here, among all of you, because I needed to feel the real pulse of life, its struggles and its small victories. I wanted to learn what it meant to be a part of a community where every effort counts and every shared smile matters more than any material gain. The simplicity and sincerity in her tone filled the room with a sense of shared understanding. The head chef, standing quietly among the team, nodded slowly. His eyes, always so kind yet guarded with years of experience, shone with respect. We all have parts of ourselves we hide away, thinking they might not be accepted, he said in a gentle tone. But today, you have shown us that the true value of a person is found in the courage to be real. His words resonated with everyone present, and a quiet murmur of agreement spread through the room. The tension that had once hovered like a dark cloud was gradually replaced by an atmosphere of empathy and unity. One of the longtime employees stepped forward, his voice unsteady but full of warmth. We all face our own battles, and sometimes we feel the need to hide behind a mask. But the mask can only cover so much. Thank you for trusting us with your truth. His words reminded everyone that vulnerability was not a sign of weakness, but rather a bridge to genuine connection and growth. The staff's faces, which had earlier shown suspicion and worry, now shone with understanding and acceptance. Once shared, could lead to a stronger, more authentic life. As the last customers left and the soft hum of the night settled over the restaurant, a calm determination filled the air. The day's events, each hardship, every struggle, and all the small, brave acts of honesty, had led to this final, decisive moment. In the gentle quiet of the empty dining room, the hidden cook gathered the staff together. There, under the warm glow of the vintage light fixtures and the watchful eyes of old photographs on the walls, she prepared to finally reveal her true self to the people who had come to know and care for her. The room was quiet but expectant. Every face reflected a mixture of curiosity and concern, their eyes urging her to speak. Standing before them, the cook took a slow, deep breath. In that instant, the weight of years spent hiding behind a humble apron seemed to lift. "I have a confession to make," she began softly, her voice steady yet laced with vulnerability. "I am not who you think I am. I once lived a life far removed from these busy kitchens, a life filled with wealth, high expectations, and countless luxuries. But that life, for all its glitter, left me feeling empty and disconnected. I came here not just to cook, but to rediscover the true meaning of life." Her words fell over the gathered staff like a soothing rain. Each person listened intently, absorbing the honesty and raw emotion that colored her confession. She continued, "I chose to work here, among all of you, because I needed to feel the real pulse of life, its struggles and its small victories. I wanted to learn what it meant to be a part of a community where every effort counts and every shared smile matters more than any material gain." The simplicity and sincerity in her tone filled the room with a sense of shared understanding. The head chef, standing quietly among the team, nodded slowly. His eyes, always so kind yet guarded with years of experience, shone with respect. "We all have parts of ourselves we hide away, thinking they might not be accepted," he said in a gentle tone. "But today, you have shown us that the true value of a person is found in the courage to be real." His words resonated with everyone present, and a quiet murmur of agreement spread through the room. The tension that had once hovered like a dark cloud was gradually replaced by an atmosphere of empathy and unity. One of the longtime employees stepped forward, his voice unsteady but full of warmth. "We all face our own battles, and sometimes we feel the need to hide behind a mask. But the mask can only cover so much. Thank you for trusting us with your truth." His words reminded everyone that vulnerability was not a sign of weakness, but rather a bridge to genuine connection and growth. The staff's faces, which had earlier shown suspicion and worry, now shone with understanding and acceptance. In that heartfelt moment, the hidden cook shared more about the choices that had led her to this very day. She explained how, in the midst of a life filled with boardroom meetings and extravagant parties, she had felt increasingly lost. "I realized that I was missing something precious, a sense of belonging, a feeling that I was truly part of something real. So I took a risk, I stepped away from a world where I was known only for my wealth, and I chose instead a life where I could learn what it meant to struggle, to work hard, and to find joy in the simplest of things." Her words echoed in the quiet room, each syllable a testament to her journey of self-discovery. As she spoke, she held up the elegant gold watch that had once caused so much unease. "This watch is a reminder of the person I used to be," she said, her voice trembling ever so slightly with emotion. "But it is also a reminder of why I chose to change. I no longer measure success by the glitter of wealth or the accolades of the past. I measure it by the love we share, the strength we build together, and the honest work we do every day." The watch, now a symbol of her transformation, seemed to shine with a new light, one that celebrated growth over gold. The staff listened, their expressions softening as they absorbed the truth of her words. In that moment, every whispered doubt was replaced by a shared resolve to embrace one another's whole stories. They saw that the cook's journey was not just her own, It was a reminder for all of them that the truest form of success lies in the willingness to be open and to learn from every stumble along the way. Slowly, the hidden cook's confession brought about a new beginning. The fear that had once threatened to tear the community apart now transformed into a collective promise to stand by one another, regardless of the past. In the gentle silence that followed, the restaurant seemed to breathe a little easier, as if relieved that every hidden truth had finally found a place to be seen and accepted. In the warm embrace of that quiet night, the lesson was clear: life's true wealth is found not in money or opulence, but in the courage to be yourself and in the strength of the bonds we form with others. The journey of the hidden cook reminded everyone that every setback, every moment of vulnerability, is an opportunity to grow stronger together. With hearts unburdened and spirits renewed, the staff and the hidden cook looked forward to the future, a future where every dish served would be a celebration of honest work and every shared moment a tribute to the power of authenticity. And in that humble restaurant, beneath the soft glow of the fading night, the real recipe for success was finally revealed. It was the mixture of courage, truth, and compassion that made life truly rich. It seems like we have reached the conclusion of this story. Would you like me to summarize the key learnings and wrap up the final lessons for you? For 8 seconds. In the soft, lingering light of dawn, when the restaurant was quiet and the clatter of the day had given way to a peaceful hush, the hidden cook, now fully known to all, stood by the window, looking out over the familiar street. The early morning air was crisp, carrying with it a sense of renewal and possibility. Today marked not just the start of another day at the restaurant, but the beginning of a new chapter for everyone who had been part of this extraordinary journey. The previous night's confession had rippled through the entire restaurant like a gentle wave, washing away the doubts and fears that had once separated her from her colleagues. In that raw, vulnerable moment, she had not only shared the secret of her past but also her true intentions. She spoke of a time when wealth had defined her, when success was measured in glittering luxuries and fleeting accolades. And she spoke of her longing to rediscover the warmth of genuine connection, a life where every task, every meal, and every shared smile was a testament to resilience and hope. Now, as the restaurant slowly stirred to life with the familiar sounds of preparation and friendly banter, the air was filled with a renewed sense of unity. The staff moved with purpose, their eyes bright with understanding and acceptance. They had learned that beneath every mask there is a person with a story of struggle and triumph, a person who deserves kindness and respect. The head chef, who had led the team with quiet wisdom for so long, now looked upon the hidden cook with a deep admiration that went beyond her culinary skills. It was clear that her journey had inspired everyone to embrace their own truths and to cherish the real connections they shared. As the day unfolded, the transformation within the restaurant became more visible with each passing moment. The dining room, once simply a place to serve meals, now buzzed with an extra layer of warmth and community. Regular patrons, who had grown to love the comfort and familiarity of the establishment, sensed that something special was at work. Their smiles were more genuine, their laughter a little louder, as if they, too, had been touched by the honest story of a woman who had risked everything to find herself again. Conversations flowed easily, filled with gratitude for every small moment of authenticity that the restaurant offered. The hidden cook took to her role with a renewed passion. Every dish she prepared carried the deep imprint of her journey, a blend of hard work, heartfelt emotion, and a touch of the vulnerability that had once haunted her. With every meal served, she reminded herself and everyone around her that true success was not measured by the weight of a bank account, but by the strength of one's character and the courage to be real. As dawn broke over the city, the restaurant awoke with a quiet promise of renewal. The previous night's heartfelt confessions had woven a new fabric of trust among the staff, and now, in the soft light of early morning, that promise was about to come fully to fruition. The hidden cook, once burdened by secrets and inner conflicts, stood at the threshold of the dining room, surrounded by colleagues who had seen her vulnerability and chosen to stand by her side. In that moment, the weight of her past seemed to dissolve into the gentle warmth of the rising sun. The restaurant's interior, with its time-worn tables and faded photographs, looked as if it were celebrating a fresh start. Each staff member carried the memories of the recent days, days marked by tension, honesty, and ultimately, healing. As the hidden cook stepped forward to greet the first customers of the day, her every move exuded a newfound confidence and calm. She no longer felt the need to hide behind a mask or an apron. Instead, her eyes sparkled with the quiet pride of someone who had reclaimed her true self, someone who had learned that genuine strength comes from embracing all parts of one's life. Throughout the day, the restaurant buzzed with an energy that was both familiar and invigorated. The kitchen, once a place of whispered doubts and guarded secrets, had transformed into a sanctuary of cooperation and open hearts. The head chef led the team with renewed resolve, often pausing to share a smile or a kind word with the hidden cook, whose journey had inspired everyone around her. The team worked seamlessly, every movement in the busy kitchen echoing the shared commitment to honesty and to the community that had grown so dear to them all. As customers filled the dining area, they began to sense the shift as well. Regulars who had come to expect the same comforting meals and quiet conversations now found that something deeper stirred in the atmosphere. Conversations among patrons took on a reflective tone, as if the restaurant itself was inviting them to ponder the meaning of true success. Over hearty soups and freshly baked bread, many began to discuss how the little restaurant was more than just a place to eat. It was a home for honest souls, a place where the past was not hidden but celebrated as a guide for the future. In one quiet corner, a longtime employee carefully polished a set of old silverware, pausing to smile at the memories that came flooding back. This employee, who had witnessed many changes over the years, felt that the latest events had restored something precious to the restaurant, a sense of unity and acceptance that went beyond daily routines. The subtle clinking of utensils and the soft hum of conversation mingled with a quiet understanding that every individual present had a story of struggle, growth, and redemption. Later that evening, as the restaurant slowly emptied and the last customer left with a satisfied smile, the entire team gathered together in the dining room. It was not a meeting filled with somber reflections, but one marked by a gentle celebration of their shared journey. The hidden cook, now fully embraced by her colleagues, spoke softly to the group. Her voice carried the quiet certainty of someone who had learned much from hardship. She said, "I once measured success by wealth and opulence, but I have learned that true success is found in the richness of our connections and the courage to be vulnerable. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to grow and to become stronger together." The room fell silent as her words sank in. One by one, her colleagues nodded, their expressions reflecting the understanding that came only from genuine experience. The head chef added his own thoughts, reminding everyone that life was a series of twists and turns, and that it was the moments of raw honesty that shaped their true character. "It is not the external rewards that make us who we are," he said, "but the strength we build in facing our own truths and the compassion we share with one another." As the evening drew to a close, the staff parted ways with a deep sense of unity and purpose. Outside, the night sky was clear, dotted with stars that seemed to whisper promises of a better tomorrow. The hidden cook lingered for a few moments, gazing out the window as if thanking the universe for the courage to become herself. In that quiet solitude, she realized that every hardship, every fear of exposure, had led her to this profound understanding, that true wealth is not measured in material riches, but in the honest bonds we form and the lessons learned from embracing our own imperfections. In the end, the restaurant had become a living testament to the power of authenticity. Its walls, steeped in the memories of both struggle and triumph, now resonated with a life lesson that would endure. Success is most meaningful when it is built on the foundations of truth, love, and the courage to show the world who we really are. And so, as the night deepened and the restaurant finally rested, the legacy of that extraordinary journey shone brightly, a gentle reminder that every challenge can become a stepping stone toward a richer, more connected life. It seems we've reached the end of the story. Would you like me to summarize the lessons or provide further insights into the narrative? For 18 seconds. In the weeks that followed that transformative night, the restaurant took on a new life, a life that radiated the warmth of honesty and the beauty of real connection. The once hidden cook, now fully embraced for who she truly was, became an unspoken symbol of courage and renewal for everyone around her. Every day, as she moved through the familiar spaces of the bustling kitchen and the cozy dining room, there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. It was as if the restaurant itself had learned to breathe easier. every corner echoing with the shared resolve to live authentically. During the quiet mornings before the first customers arrived, the cook would stand by the window with a gentle smile, gazing out at a world that now felt more intimate and true. She recalled the long hours spent wrestling with her inner demons and the burden of secrets that once weighed so heavily on her heart. Now, however, each ray of sunlight and every soft breeze seemed to whisper encouragement, reminding her that the journey toward self-acceptance was a lifelong process, and one that was best shared with others. The staff, too, had grown in ways they had never imagined. The head chef, whose steady guidance had long kept the kitchen running like clockwork, now took extra moments to exchange kind words and supportive glances with every member of the team. Their daily interactions were no longer just about perfecting recipes or meeting orders. They had become small acts of solidarity, silent acknowledgments that every person had their own story, their own struggles, and their own moments of triumph. Even the younger cooks, once hesitant and reserved, found themselves opening up about their own dreams and fears, inspired by the cook's vulnerability and her willingness to risk everything in the name of truth. The regular patrons of the restaurant noticed these subtle yet profound changes as well. What had once been a simple eatery where meals were enjoyed in comfortable routine had now evolved into a haven of understanding and shared humanity. Conversations around tables carried an extra layer of meaning, a gentle reminder that every individual, regardless of their past or present circumstances, was worthy of compassion and respect. Over cups of freshly brewed coffee and plates of hearty, lovingly prepared food, strangers began to share smiles and small stories, united by the silent promise that everyone was walking a path of growth and renewal. Outside the restaurant, word of the extraordinary journey spread slowly through the community. Not in loud, boastful proclamations, but in quiet nods and knowing smiles exchanged among neighbors who recognized that true transformation often starts in the most unassuming of places. The restaurant became a beacon, drawing people from all walks of life who were searching for something genuine, a reminder that life's richest rewards are found not in the glitter of wealth, but in the courage to embrace one's imperfections and to build meaningful connections. As days turned into weeks, the cook found herself not only accepted but celebrated for her choices. She began to mentor others in the kitchen, teaching them that every challenge was an opportunity to learn and that every mistake held within it a seed of potential. The lessons she imparted were simple yet profound: treat every day as a fresh start, listen deeply to the stories of those around you, and always remain true to who you are. Her journey from a life of hidden opulence to one of honest, hard work had not been easy, but it had gifted her a wisdom that shone like a quiet light in even the darkest of moments. In quiet moments after the restaurant had closed its doors for the night, when the hum of conversation and the clatter of utensils had faded away, the cook would sit for a few minutes in the now silent dining room. Surrounded by the remnants of shared meals and heartfelt laughter, she would reflect on the twists and turns of her life, the moments of fear and the leaps of faith that had led her to this point. In these reflections, she realized that the true measure of success was not in the accolades of a past life or in the abundance of material riches, but in the strength of one's character and in the genuine bonds formed along the way. And so, as the restaurant's lights dimmed and a peaceful hush fell over its walls, the legacy of that remarkable journey continued to grow. It was a legacy built on honesty, resilience, and the enduring truth that every challenge, no matter how daunting, could become a stepping stone to a richer, more connected life. The story of the hidden cook served as a timeless reminder: when we dare to embrace our true selves and share our stories with others, we not only transform our own lives but also illuminate the path for everyone else to follow. In that humble restaurant, beneath the soft glow of the final night light, the lesson was clear for all to see: true wealth lies not in the luxury of what we own, but in the priceless value of genuine human connection, the courage to be vulnerable,